Hey guys, what's up? I don't really have a plan for this video. I just wanted to talk a little bit. Um, Me personally, I was at this job for a couple months and it was hell. Um, just, I don't know if you guys need a little encouragement or just you want to hear it, but I think um, if you're not happy at your job, I think you should definitely leave it and try to find a better one. Um, For me, I was working at a hospital as a CNA, and I don't want to speak ill of anybody, and I doubt anybody that knows me will ever actually see this, but um, it started off really good. You train for I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, a little bit on night shift, a little bit on day shift. It was great starting off. Um, but then again, you're with somebody, you can't do things on your own. Um, and whoever's training you, like they're doing most of the work and you're just kind of observing. Um, Again, it started off fantastic, no problems whatsoever. When I got on my own, and again, I was the only man on the floor. Everyone else was a woman. Um, I was told after the fact that I guess I could have actually filed charges for like discrimination or whatever because of my gender. But when I got on my own, it seemed like the mentality of everybody just kind of shifted dramatically. Um, I guess, and again, so one of the things we were supposed to do in one of the first incidences that I remember was we take vitals at like 4:30 or 5 in the morning. And, I've been doing that no problem. And one of the first days I was on my own, it was like the second or third. Afterwards, like 7 o'clock comes around, it's time to, that's when my shift ended for the night shift. And I get called into my boss's office. And I don't, and see, a lot of this story and a lot of it is like trickery and a lot of like things were taken the wrong way. So I guess she went around and specifically at like one of the people didn't remember that Dylan took their vitals at 5 in the morning. And I guess one of the big problems is, that early in the morning, people aren't like, they don't know, and like, they don't know that, oh, Dylan or Stacy or whoever, they don't know. They just know somebody woke them up to take their blood pressure and they're just trying to keep their eyes closed and go back to bed. And two, they might honestly just stay in might wake up just enough for you to take their blood pressure and go back to sleep. So one person said, when she was doing her rounds, she said, oh, I don't remember a Dylan taking my blood pressure. I did take it, but again, it's like specific on, oh, I don't remember this one particular person took it. And it opened up, from there on, it just went downhill. I tried to tell her, like, I took the blood pressures. I'm sorry that they didn't know. And she told me, again, that wasn't a big deal, but it started opening up a floodgate. From there, it seemed like, and again, before that, but it seemed like the boss is one thing. Obviously, she cares more about the patients than her staff. That's understandable. Because at the end of the day, the patients are what keeps like the hospital running. But it's your fellow coworkers. There was a lot of, and I get it. You got people ranging from like 20 to I think like 60 as employees. You had a lot of just, I don't know. A young man shows up on your unit and they always talk about boys and stuff like that, and I'm sort of ruining that flow for them. They never seem to have my back. It's one thing when your boss is already, like, anytime she steps out of her office, everybody's like tenses up and it's like a oh crap kind of moment. But then when your fellow coworkers don't like have your back or like support you or support each other, it's kind of hard to deal. So your boss is a pain. Your coworkers are a pain. What's the point? So I guess, so after a little while, it was like these little tiny instances where like something would, the big one for me was when I was being trained, a lot of, there's a lot of like situational things, like, oh, somebody comes in with this type of illness or somebody comes in with this, like So during training, if we didn't have a patient that had some type of problem or anything, I never learned it. So it was like on my own. I think it was a urine sample. So we never had to touch that for like the 3 weeks I was on training. So on my own, and that's what I said that morning, I said, hey, I don't know how to do this. Can someone help me? But it's like, it was almost expected that you know everything, but at the same time, they kept saying like, oh, you don't need to know everything. Like, it's okay because you're new. But then, so I came to them, I'm like, hey, I don't know how to do this. And they're like, what do you mean you don't know how to do this? You should know this by now. And I said, well, I never had, like, nobody needed a urine sample. So I had to stay well past my shift and to do this. And then the very next day, I get a call from my boss saying, hey, you got to come in and meet me. I come in and meet her, and it's this, again, it's like this, oh, you should know what's going on, but at the same time, like, she's like, there's plenty of things you haven't seen yet and you haven't done yet, and that's okay, but you should know, like, certain things. And it was a mess. I hadn't seen it yet, so I was asking for help. She kept saying, ask for help, and that's what I did. I was asking for help on that. But then it was expected of me to know that. So from there, I was put back onto an orientation with this one lady. I'll call her Stephanie, I guess. And she is what made it very, I was even fine with being put back on, or like, it looks good on paper that, there was a couple like mistakes or whatever. Put him back on orientation. I was fine with that. No problem there. This lady, I'll tell you what, she had no regard for anything. She would purposefully try to, and that's what sort of did it for me. She would purposefully try to make me make mistakes or make me, I would go, there was one day, I kid you not, there was one day I was at, we were walking around, there was things I hadn't seen yet. So I was asking her questions about it, like, I was with her for like 2 or 3 days. The first day, I was asking all these questions. I'm like, hey, I didn't see this during my first orientation. Like, what is that? Or like, hey, what about this? And I was asking tons of great questions, and she loved that. And then the second day, nothing new. It was the same patient, so I wasn't asking nearly as many questions. And she kept saying, well, like, if you have questions to ask, you should be asking questions right now. And I'm like, I asked all my questions. She acted like the prior day didn't even exist, and like, it was sort of like, you're not asking questions today. Like, what are you, clueless? What are you, stupid? Which rubbed me the wrong way. And then she would so like, there was one instance we were taking like blood pressures and pulses and stuff like that. And I think someone's pulse was like 75. Let's go with that. I don't remember the exact number. But that's what I said. So we have these little machines, Dynamaps, and they do all this for you. So I had taken it and set the machine aside because we run through all the rooms, and she was plugging it all in plugging in all the numbers. And she said, "Hey, what's room 10's blood pressure, or what was room 10's pulse?" And I said, "I think it was 75. Let me go over to the machine and double check." And she gave me like this weird look. I walked over to the machine. I said it was exactly 75.5. And then she was giving me this weird look. And then that night after, at the end of the shift, boss calls me back there, and she's like, "I heard you're giving away fake, false vital signs. Like, why is that?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, I was told you put it in the machine as 75, and then you had to go back and double check." I said, "That's not the case at all." Of course, the boss doesn't care. Listen to me, this other lady's been there longer. But I'm like, that's not even close. Your own employees don't even have like your back. She was a young CNA just like me, and they don't even have like just trying to cause trouble. I guess it looks good in your boss's eyes. I don't know. But yeah, I told her, "I think it's this. Let me go over to the machine and check." I checked it, got the actual number, and she told the boss that I had put it in the machine, that it was some fake number, and then went back and edited it and changed up the numbers, which is totally false, a total lie. So I was getting perturbed by the day. I'm trying to remember. There was only like 3 days of orientation. I was supposed to do more than that, but I couldn't. she, I don't remember everything exactly. It's been a little while since I left now, but it was just sort of this. It was a lot of that. I'm trying to remember some more scenarios. I don't remember, but those are the two big ones I can remember off the top of my head. Maybe I'll have more, but um, yeah. Again, like this CNA, she would purposely cause trouble, and she's what got me back on orientation with her. And then she would deliberately lie to the boss to get me to, I don't know, get me to quit. I don't know. Um, but yes, there was a whole lot of like, I don't have your back. I could give a crap about you. I'm gonna lie to the boss, and I'm gonna just make your life hell. And I don't understand why you would ever do that to somebody. I was young. I'm going for my RN, so I'm in school, trying to work. It was very manageable. But when you show up to work and you almost dread going in there because she's gonna cause problems for you. I mean, there's no, and I get it. Not everybody can just pick up and leave their job, but at the same time, especially if you're in a case like me, like I'm a CNA, I can pick up and leave a job and go to somewhere else. My CNA credentials aren't going to change. If you're a doctor and you leave one place and go to another, you're still a doctor. At the end of the day, nobody cares that you worked for this company for 20 years or whatever. Um, you're still a doctor at the end of the day. It works for me. But even then, I mean, if you work at I don't know, a McDonald's and you absolutely hate it, go somewhere, go to a Chick-fil-A, do something else about it. I'm just saying, this was one of my experiences. The coworkers, the boss was a pain, and just the coworkers didn't have your back. They would purposefully try to make life hell for you, and just purposely try to twist your words. And I'm trying to remember one of the other scenarios. There was like once where we went into like the supply room. She's like, "Hey, have you seen this yet?" And I said, she got me tripped up. There was like, she was pointing to one thing but talking about another thing, is what it was. And I said, "Yes, yeah, I've seen that before." And she's like, "You have? I don't think we've had anybody that needed that in a long time." And I said, "Oh, you're talking about that one. You were pointing to that one, but you were talking about a different thing." Oh, no, I have not seen that one. And she, again, told the boss, totally she tried to jumble me up on my words, tried to make things hard for me, and it was a pain. So now the boss thinks I've been there for a month, and the boss thinks I'm incompetent because you're purposefully trying to confuse me. You're pointing to something, and you're pointing to, a pizza, and you're talking about a cake. That doesn't, you can't hold me to that. But I just wanted to let you guys know I haven't made a video in a little while, so I was throwing this one out there. It's just, leave your job. That's the best thing I can say. I'm still in school, working hard, but I'm going for another job now. But it's just, when there's a certain point when you dread going into your work, that's sort of when you need to start looking. For me, what ended up happening was I was on like 3 days of orientation with this CNA that had been causing me all these problems, and I was supposed to do like 1 or 2 more with her before I went back on my own, and I just said no. I sat down with myself and I just said flat out no. I'm not gonna put up with her for another couple days, just to go back on my own and have more problems. There's already this. My boss thinks I'm freaking incompetent because of this lady over little minor things that never actually happened. And again, I could totally understand if I had actually done something wrong. I would have been like, yeah, oh shoot. But it was this one lady, all these problems arose because of her. And yeah, again, now it looks like I'm the incompetent one when she's just purposely causing trouble for I don't know what. But yes, if you're just at that point, even when I worked down in food service at that hospital, I never dreaded walking onto the unit. And I think that's the big, as much as I hated the boss wasn't that bad, but there were certain coworkers that were bad and others that were hey, they weren't bad at all. But even then, I never dreaded like walking in there and starting work. For this job, like I was down in food service for like 4 months, and this one I was only there for like 2 or 3, and I just absolutely dreaded it because there's as soon as you walked on there was going to be someone causing problems, and I couldn't do it. So my advice, again, if you're in a situation where you just absolutely don't like relationship, job, whatever, I strongly recommend that you try to move on and try to find something else. Again, I'm only 21 and I'm coming into crap like this. So yeah, see you guys.